بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. We praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who sent blessing and salutation upon Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, his household, his companion. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless them, to bless every one of us, and to grant us every goodness. Ameen Rabbil Alameen. Our beloved brothers and sisters, I'm Ahmad, your MC, and I will guide you for the event today. Welcome to this virtual event. Inshallah, we shall talk about love and relationship in Islam. It will be presented by Mr. Muhammad Ridha. Brothers and sisters, let us recite Basmala to start our event. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is going to be our agenda for today's event. First, we're going to have an opening. Next, we're going to have a Quran recitation and translation by Zahra and Ali. Next, we'll have a remark by a Madani representative, Ustad Abdullah. Our fourth agenda point will be quiz time. They'll be guided by Azizan and Tara. First, introduction to Izhar. Next, we'll have a main lecture by Mr. Muhammad Ridha, and then a sharing session by Haya, question and answer guide, session guide by Izhar, closing statement by Mr. Muhammad Ridha and Haya, and then the final closing. Our next agenda is Quran recitation and translation. They'll be performed by Zahra and Ali. So the floor is yours.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل للمؤمنين يغضوا من أبصارهم ويحفظوا فروجهم ذلك أزكى لهم إن الله خبير بما يصنعون وقل للمؤمنات يغضضن من أبصارهن ويحفظن فروجهن ولا يبدين زينتهن إلا ما ظهر منها وليضربن بخمرهن على جيوبهن ولا يبدين زينتهن إلا لبعولتهن أو آبائهن أو آباء بعولتهن أو أبنائهن أو أبناء بعولتهن أو إخوانهن أو بني إخوانهن أو بني أخواتهن أو نسائهن أو ما ملكت أيمانهن أو التابعين غير أولي الإربة من الرجال أو الطفل الذين لم يظهروا على عورات النساء ولا يضربن بأرجلهن ليعلم ما يخفين من زينتهن وتوبوا إلى الله جميعا أيها المؤمنون لعلكم تفلحون صدق الله العظيم.
Tell the believing men to reduce some of their vision and guard their private parts. That is purer for them. Indeed, Allah is acquainted with what they do. And tell the believing women to reduce some of their vision and guard their private parts, not expose their adornment except that which necessarily appears thereof, and to wrap a portion of their head covers over their chests, and not expose their adornment except to their husbands, their fathers, their husbands' fathers, their sons, their husbands' sons, their brothers' sons, their sisters' sons, their women, that which their right hands possess, or those male attendants having no physical desire, or children who are not yet aware of the private aspects of women, and let them not stamp their feet to make known what they conceal of their adornment, and turn to Allah in repentance, all of you, O believers, that you might succeed.
So, thanks to Zahra and Ali for the wonderful Quran recitation and translation. Our next agenda is a speech by Ustad Abdullah. Ustad Abdullah, the floor is yours.
Baik. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Innal hamdalillah nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu wa nastahdihi wa natubu ilaih. Wa na'udzu billahi min syururi anfusina wa sayyiati a'malina may yahdihillahu fala mudhillalah wa may yudlil fala hadiyalah. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la syarikalah wa asyhadu anna sayyidana wa nabiyyana Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik alaihi wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa man ihtada bihadihi wa istanna bi sunnatihi ila yaumil qiyamah. Amma ba'd. Narasumber kita Bapak Muhammad Ridha M.Sc dan juga Mbak Haya Nabilah, yang saya hormati dan saya banggakan para panitia kajian remaja pada sore hari ini, dan juga para peserta semua, hadirin dan hadirat yang dirahmati dan dimuliakan oleh Allah Subhanahu wa taala. Alhamdulillah, puji serta syukur kita panjatkan kehadirat Allah Subhanahu wa taala. Pada sore hari ini Allah Subhanahu wa taala berkenan mengumpulkan kita di tempat yang mulia ini. Salawat serta salam semoga senantiasa tercurahkan kepada baginda Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam sebagai suri tauladan kita bersama. Begitu juga kepada keluarganya, kepada sahabat-sahabatnya dan pengikutnya sampai dengan hari kiamat kelak. Mohon maaf saya sampaikan sambutan ini dalam bahasa Indonesia ya. Dan pertama-tama saya ingin mengucapkan apresiasi, terima kasih yang sangat tinggi ya kepada seluruh panitia, adik-adik remaja yang telah mencurahkan seluruh tenaga dan pikirannya sehingga menjadikan event ini bisa terlaksana pada sore hari ini. Ya, mudah-mudahan segala jerih payahnya mendapatkan balasan pahala dari Allah Subhanahu wa taala. Amin ya rabbal alamin. Hadirin sekalian dan hadirat yang dimuliakan Allah Subhanahu wa taala, salah satu corak peradaban sekuler yang paling menonjol dalam bidang pergaulan adalah kebebasan interaksi antara laki-laki dan perempuan dalam kehidupan. Maka saat ini lazim kita saksikan ya laki-laki dan perempuan bergaul bebas nyaris tanpa batas, baik di ruang private maupun di tempat-tempat umum. Ya, seperti misalnya bertamasya bersama, bertemu di kafe, hingga saling bertamu antara laki-laki dan perempuan tanpa ada mahram yang menemani. Bahkan dalam konteks budaya pacaran, ya muda-mudi masa kini, seorang laki-laki dan perempuan yang berpacaran merasa punya kebebasan penuh dalam berinteraksi, ya dari sekedar jalan berdua, bergandengan tangan, berpelukan, hingga tidak sedikit diantaranya yang na'udzubillah sampai jatuh ke lembah perzinahan. Hal seperti ini dalam tradisi sekuler ya masuk kategori kebebasan berperilaku yang dijamin dan dilindungi atas nama hak asasi manusia. Sehingga siapapun itu tidak punya hak untuk melarang perilaku bebas ini ya karena dianggap melanggar hak asasi individu lainnya. Masyarakat jadinya dikondisikan harus memahaminya seakan tidak punya ruang untuk sekedar saling menasehati ya. Implikasi dari hal tersebut adalah semakin merajalelanya kebebasan di tengah-tengah kehidupan ya, dan juga menimbulkan berbagai dampak serius tentunya yang merusak tatanan hidup bermasyarakat ya. So perzinahan menjadi hal biasa ya, diikuti dengan tentunya segala konsekuensi logis di dalamnya ya, seperti misalnya na'udzubillah hamil di luar nikah, lalu aborsi atau lahir anak-anak yang tidak bernasab ya. Nah, corak budaya seperti ini ya, corak budaya seperti dalam kapitalisme sekuler ini tidak akan ditemukan di dalam peradaban Islam ya. Hal ini karena Islam memiliki sejumlah aturan yang membatasi kebebasan interaksi antara laki-laki dengan perempuan ya, dan hanya dibolehkan dalam batasan-batasan yang dibolehkan oleh syariat ya. Dan tentunya itu bukan untuk dalam rangka mengekang manusia, Tapi tentunya adalah dengan aturan tersebut, maka kehormatan dan kemuliaan masyarakat akan bisa terjaga. Ya. Oleh itulah, insya Allah nanti kita akan mendengarkan secara lebih luas, lebih dalam pemaparan yang akan disampaikan oleh pemateri kita, ya, Bapak Muhammad Ridha M.Sc. Kemudian juga ada keynote speaker ya dari Mbak Haya Nabilah. Mungkin itu saja yang ingin saya sampaikan. Selamat menyimak dan menikmati materi yang akan disuguhkan nanti oleh narasumber kita. Ya, harapan kita semoga kita semua akan mendapatkan pelajaran, mendapatkan poin-poin yang penting yang bisa kita jadikan pegangan, ya, mendapatkan ilmu yang tentunya tidak hanya menjadi simpanan di dalam otak kita, tapi tentunya bisa kita implementasikan dalam kehidupan kita sehari-hari. Sekian, hadanallahu wa iyyakum ajma'in. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Ustaz Abdullah, for that short speech. Now, can I ask everyone to turn on their cameras to take a picture for Kajian Madani?
Oh, that was like...
Okay, I think the picture has been taken. Now we have come to quiz time that will be guided by Azizan and Sarah. Now, Azizan and Sarah, the floor is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Tara and my friend Azizan will host the quiz session. Please kindly join our poll by click on the link of Slido in a chat box, or you guys can simply scan the barcode on the screen using your mobile. Okay, we're waiting for 1 or 2 minutes for you to join. Okay, while we're waiting for everyone to join, I will explain about the quiz. So this quiz only consists of 3 easy questions, and you don't have to worry. Just click on the answer that you think is suitable for the question. Okay, now we're waiting for another. So are you all in now? Okay, get ready. Okay, Azizan, let's start the quiz. So now the first question was, in your opinion, it is permissible for Muslim to date? A, yes it is. B, no it isn't. C, it's okay if you don't touch. You guys have 10 minutes, 10 seconds to answer. 3, 2, 1. And the answer is B, that Muslims are not allowed to date before marriage. So 90% of the participants answer correctly. For this, the topic will be discussed by our speaker in the next session. Now, let's move to question number 2. The following facts which is false about the romantic marriage of the Prophet Muhammad and Khadija is: A, Khadija is 15 years old. B, Khadija was the first to propose the Messenger of Allah. C, Rasulullah proposed to Khadija through the intermediary of Abu Muttalib. And D, Rasulullah never married another woman when Khadija was still alive. You guys have 30 seconds to answer. Come on, we're waiting for your votes. Three, 2, 1, and so the correct answer is C. So the true fact of Rasulullah marriage is with Khadija are that Khadija is 15 years older than our Prophet, And she was also the one who offered the proposal of marriage to Rasulullah to a wise, well-known lady. And Rasulullah SAW did not marry another woman until Khadijah passed away. So interesting. We can see that 47% of the participants answer correctly. Now, let's move on to the last question. So the third question was, what is ta'aruf? A, the process of childbirth in Islam. B, the process of announcing the birth of a Muslim baby by both parents. C, the process of getting to know each other between Muslim couples towards the level of marriage based on Islamic laws. So we're waiting for everyone to vote. Three, two, one, time's up. So the answer is C, the process of getting to know each other between Muslim couple toward the level of marriage based on Islamic laws. So interesting. 92% of the participants answer correctly. But we will not discuss the answer now because I'm sure many of you are curious about the explanation from our main speaker, Mr. Muhammad Ridha. Congratulations for the top 5 participants. Okay, thank you for everyone for your participations. Have a great webinar. See you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thanks to Azizan and Sarah for that quiz time, and I hope all of you enjoyed it. Now we have reached our main event, the lecture that will be presented by Mr. Muhammad Ridha M.Sc. I will now hand over to Izhar to lead this presentation. So Izhar, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inna alhamdulillah, nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruh, wa na'udhu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina. Man yahdihillahu fala mudilla lahu, amma ba'du. Truly all praise is due to Allah. We praise Him, we seek His help, and ask Him for forgiveness. We seek refuge in Allah from the evils of ourselves and our bad actions, and I bear witness that Muhammad is His final messenger. I'm so happy to see almost 200 participants in this webinar. So first and foremost, thank you all so much for joining, especially since it's a weekend. And I know that a lot of us have had exams over the past few weeks or tests. So to start, I'd like to say good luck on your tests for everyone who's going to be sitting them. And again, thank you for joining this webinar, which I think will be one of the most interesting we've ever done. So for those who don't know who I am, let me just take some time to introduce myself. My name is Muhammad Izhar Fadhlurrasyad. I'm 16 years old and I'm a student at QIS, currently in year 12. And I'm currently studying to become a doctor. So my dream is to study medicine at Cornell University here in Qatar. And I will be the host and moderator for this webinar, inshallah. So to start off, I would like to introduce some of our distinguished speakers. First off will be Ridha, who's going to be delivering the first sharing session of this webinar. So I'm just going to read out some of his accomplishments and some interesting facts about him. So he currently lives in America. So he's lived in Portland, Oregon with his family since 2000. He's the vice president of ISGP, which stands for the Islamic Society of Greater Portland. He's the director of IMSA, so the Indonesian Muslim Society in America. And also he's a software engineer with more than 20 years of experience in corporate America. And the second distinguished speaker or host, I guess, of this webinar will be Haya. So I'll get onto this a little later, but Haya is a nursing student at the University of Calgary. And she is also Hafizah Qur'an, mashallah. So she's memorized the entire holy book. So without further ado, I would like to invite Pak Ridha on the floor. So Pak Ridha, are you there?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Assalamualaikum Pak Ridha, how are you?
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Can you hear me, Izhar?
You're a little bit quiet, so okay. If you could maybe...
Use this.
I think the audio should be clear now.
Hold on.
It's a lot better.
How about now? Is it better?
Yeah, that's a lot better. We can hear you.
I don't need this. I think the setup need to be the microphone.
Yeah, it's all right. So how are you, Farido?
Alhamdulillah. I wasn't aware before that the weekend in Qatar, Friday.
Yeah.
So I thought. I assume like Saturday and Sunday, but then I think in the Middle East, Friday and Saturday, I guess, right?
Yeah. So Friday and Saturday are weekends. So just before we start with the presentation, I'd like to ask, how important do you think is it for this topic to be addressed with the youth?
So this topic actually is very relevant, especially in this modern society. Right now we are living in the digital world, and everybody's can send something, discuss about something, and chat with anyone like in the matter of seconds. So you can it's very open right now, everything. So all over the world you can connect with everyone in every corner of the world. So it's very important with the challenge that we face right now is just globalization, and it's called Ghazul Fikr. It's basically the battle of thoughts. So like Ustad Abdullah mentioned before, the secular world is different with the Islamic framework. So we don't we have different framework of thinking, and their standard morality standard also different. So we must address this, basically all this youth. It's really beneficial. All the topics also, before I saw the clips from the last year, right? Next Muslim generation, and right now it's this one. It's not only in Qatar but everywhere, even in Indonesia, the same challenge the youth over there face. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd just like to jump in and say that as youth, this is a topic that we all have either been involved in or have been exposed to at some point. It's that widespread. And also sometimes this can be a bit uncomfortable to talk with your parents, like directly, but I think it has to be addressed. And so that's exactly what we're going to do today. So, inshallah. So I think now you can share your presentation, Farido.
Sure.
I'd like to ask us all to listen attentively, since this is, in my opinion, one of the most interesting and beneficial topics that we've ever done. The floor is yours. Yep, we can see it.
Okay. Okay, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahilladzi hadana li hadza wa ma kunna linahtadiya laula an hadanallah. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la syarikalah wa asyhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh la nabiyya ba'd. I like to thank the coordinator and everyone who contribute with these events, that youth, Madani youth in Qatar. This is very good and very well organized. Basically, I was very surprised. Even the rundown is like very, very organized, and even the resource who's gonna execute. So I like to I use this as an example for our youth community here in Portland as well. I really thanks for the invitations. I lead some of the youth groups also here, and this is one of the topics that usually very like the youth basically they like to discuss it, but it's in the closed door. So especially with the teenagers and then the college age and even post-college. So the topics that's given to me is like love and relationship in Islam. So the first thing when I look at the topics, first we need to come up with the definitions. Like otherwise we are not on the same page. So what is love? So this is what I would like to address first. So in everyday life, in our daily life, we the parents basically love the children love the parents, even the we love our pets, right? Even the the siblings, we love our sister, our brothers, and the whole families, relatives, uncle, aunties, grandma, grandpa, we love them, right? So the terminology love, people sometimes confuse what's the definition of love. Even psychology, in the if you study psychology, the definitions of love depend on the the scientists who give the definition. So like they try to, it's very hard to like pinpoint what's the exact definition. It's basically involved feeling, that's for sure. So but what about this love of money, right? People love money and people love food. You guys probably love games too, and then some people love sports, right? They like hardcore fans, even they fight against the other fans of the other the opposite teams, right? And then people love cars, love house, some people love what do you call that, movies, like binge watching Netflix or some like other TV shows. So this is also love. So people start what's the definition of love? Initially it's just like living beings, but now it's all inanimate things as well, non-livings. So then the standard definition here, which is like the basic definition, is love. It's a noun. It's an intense. It can be a verb too, but the noun it's intense feeling of deep affection. Affection here means like you like something. You have like strong liking towards someone or something. And then if it's like non-living things, it's a great interest or pleasure in something. For example, you like to play games. You love to play games, or you love to play soccer. So that means you have interest and pleasure in doing that things that or the things that you like to have. Collection of cars or collection of anything. So this is the basic definition of love. And then somebody come up with this: love is giving the last piece of cake no matter how much you want it. So if you have the last piece of cake, and then your little brother or little sister ask, if you love your sister, you will give to her even though you like it so much. This is love. This is like very practical definition of love. And what so we turn to Islam because we are all
I'm sorry, Parido is muted right now. I'd like to remind everyone in the call to keep themselves muted so that the speaker is not interrupted at any point. Thank you.
Can you hear me, Izhar?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about love in Islam. So when we talk about something in Islam, Islamic point of view, there should be a reference, because we cannot just say like, okay, in my opinion, it's something like this. When we talked about religious basis, you have to have a reference to the scripture, basically. Not only Islam, in Christianity or Judaism or any other faith, you have to have a basis. So that's why our basis is the scripture, which is the Quran and the Hadith, the Sunnah of Rasulullah SAW. This is clear that the Quran stated, it's a guidance. So if we are Muslim, we should believe this too. Otherwise, we're gonna confuse. In America, I I face so many people that they're like lost in the ocean. I call them like lost in the ocean of confusion, because what, they don't believe in any faith. So they don't have any basically guidance or any answers to the existential questions. Existential means like you're asking yourself, where am I from? Why I'm here? Where am I going? You know, what is the purpose of living here? If you don't have any faith or scriptures from any faith that you believe in, you will not have any answers. Even if you think with your brain or your feeling, it's just guessing. So that's why this is the basis first. If you want to talk about love and relationship in Islam, that means you have to have a belief in Islam, Islamic source. You believe in Allah. Allah revealed the Quran. Allah sent the Prophet ﷺ, as a guidance, showing us as a role model. So all this is the basic foundations. So that's why every time I talk to any Muslim youth, like first thing, you have to go back to square one. You have to have a strong belief in this, why you are Muslim. There is a series of talk about, I have the series of talk for youth. It's basically why Islam. So that's the basic foundation you have to have. Otherwise, when we talked about reference in Islam, while you don't have any strong faith, you just like questioning, like, oh, I don't like these rules, I don't like this. Why? You give excuses, justification. But if you have a good, strong foundation, you believe that Allah sent down the revelation, that you accept that wholeheartedly. So this is why I try to give you the basic reference here. So in Islam, in Arabic, basically, it's the love is, it consists of two forms, basically, hub and what. So like if you look at the Quran, sometimes actually in many places in the Quran, you found a verse like, Inna Allaha yuhibbul mutatahhirin. All this yuhib, that's coming from hope. That means love. But this love is different than what? The what, mawaddah, wadud. It's the intense form of the first one, hope. The first one, if you have feelings like you like somebody, right? You keep it inside, us, not acting upon it, that's hope. But what? It's meaning you feel it and then you love, but then you express the feelings with the conduct and actions. This is why in the Quran, Allah mentioned He's one of the Asma'ul Husna is Al-Wadud. Al-Wadud means Allah is the most loving. Why Allah don't use hub here? Because Wadud is more intense. That means Allah most loving to the creation, to the servants. So that's why Allah used Al-Wadud. And this is, if you search the Quran, you can find this in two places. This one in Inna Rabbi Rahimun Wadud. And then Wahuwal Ghafurul Wadud. This is in the Quran, the reference. So this is Allah tell us that He's the loving one, the most loving one. Allah not only love us, but also Allah act upon it. Like He give us, mercy, give us risk. He give us every single favors. So this is something that probably we need to consider this. And then you find in the many reference in Islamic scriptures. We love our parents, our siblings, relatives, brothers and sisters, the needy, right? The neighbors. Even Rasulullah mentioned many times about the neighbors, our friends, our spouse, in marriage. So all this love of our basically that we interact every day in social life. And then the most, the top priority is this one: love Allah, love Rasulullah, love His family, love His companions, love those who love them. So that's why every, if you look at the scholars of Islam since the beginning, they always, make salawat to Rasulullah and his family and his companions. Sometimes they include the tabi'in, wa man tabi'ahum bi ihsanin ila yaumiddin. And then they want to be included in that list. Wa alayna ma'ahum bi rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin. So include us with them, ya Allah. Because they give, they love Allah, Rasulullah, His family. What does it mean? What do you mean by love Allah, Rasulullah? So this is one thing that when someone love Allah, we'll talk about it later. When someone loved by Allah, Allah will call Jibril. and he said that I love this person, you should love him. And then Jibril will love him, and he tells everyone, announcement in the heavens, like Allah loves this person and you should love him too. And the dwellers of heaven will love him, and he'll be honored on earth. This is if you get this is the best favor from Allah. So we pray that we are included in this category of people, inshallah. And then Allah said, this is hadith kursi, Rasulullah kursi, hadith kursi, which means that Rasulullah tell us that Allah told him about this sentence basically. So Allah said that if somebody try to be close to Allah, he do all these obligatory, the wajib, and then do the sunnah, amal, the deeds, Allah will love him. So if Allah loves a person, Allah will becomes all whatever he's doing. That means what? It doesn't mean Allah becomes his ear or his eyes. It means that every time he use all these organs, he will always think about Allah. So whenever he walks, he make dhikr. Whenever he do something with his hand, he's thinking about Allah, making dhikr. So all his activities full of zikr. And then Allah promised, were he to ask something of me, I would surely give it to him. So where he asked me for refuge or protection, I will surely grant him. So this is the best person. If somebody loved by Allah, that's you just like that's the what we ask for it. Basically is the. And then what about love Rasulullah? Love for Rasulullah. So one time Rasulullah was talking to his companions. Rasulullah said, I wish I could meet my brothers. And then the companions say, Ya Rasulullah, are we not your brothers? It's like this one here. Waditu anni laqitu ikhwani. And then the companions say that, are we not your brothers? Nahnu ikhwanak. And then Rasulullah said that you are my you are my companions, ashabi, but not ikhwan, not my brothers. So Rasulullah explained, my brothers are those who have faith in me, although they never saw me. So like we are right now, even the after the companion is the one that see Rasulullah, but after companions, tabi'in, tabi'in, and the rest of the ummah, they never see Rasulullah, right? So this is what Rasulullah already, tell us, that Rasulullah miss us, like he wish he could meet us, because we love Rasulullah even we never see it, right? So this is love for Rasulullah. And then this is the hadith from Anas bin Malik. So he said that there is a man asked Rasulullah about the day of judgment, and then Rasulullah said, "What have you prepared for it?" And then the man said that, "Oh, nothing. I just love Allah and Rasulullah." And then Rasulullah said to him, "You will be with those whom you love." And then when Anas hear this, he feel like so glad, like he's happy that I love Rasulullah, I love Abu Bakr, all the companions, even though I'm not best, I'm better, like compared to them, I'm nothing, but I hope I'll be with them because of my love for them. That's what Anas said. Anas bin Malik is that time he's very young, and then he has a very long life because Rasulullah made dua for him when he was young. His mother gave him to Rasulullah as a servant, and then Rasulullah put his hand on the top of his head, and then he make dua for Anas, and then Allah give him like long lives, and then a lot of descendants. So this is Anas bin Malik. And then let's see what Rasulullah's love for his wife. This is the Khadijah. Khadijah is so Aisha. Khadijah passed away long before Aisha married with Rasulullah, right? So during the time of Khadijah is the love of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Aisha is like jealous because Rasulullah always mentioned her, and then every time Rasulullah sacrifice a sheep, always give the portion of the sheep to the close friends of Khadijah. So Aisha kind of feel jealous because of that, and then Aisha complained like, you always spoke about this old Quraysh woman. And Rasulullah feel hurt because of the comments, from Aisha, and he said, Khadijah believed in me when people disbelieve, when people, rejected me. She is the one who believed in me first, and she testified in me when they denied me. And then she assisted me financially when others deprived me. They boycott, right? The Rasulullah got boycotted by the Quraysh. And then Allah grant Rasulullah children from Khadijah and not from others. So this is the source of love of Rasulullah SAW. So Rasulullah even mentioned, Inni qad ruziqtu hubbaha. Indeed, I was blessed by Allah with love for her, Khadijah. So this is hubbah. See the word hubb here. And then, but after Khadijah, Rasulullah's love is towards Aisha. Basically, Rasulullah was asked by Amr bin As, who's the beloved person to you, Rasulullah? Rasulullah said, Aisha. And then from the men, her father, which is Abu Bakr. So this is the love. Rasulullah loved his wife, Aisha. And so then the question here, how do you develop love? Like, for example, we talked about loving Allah, loving Rasulullah. Even later on, you will love, you try to, develop love for your spouse or your future spouse. Before you get married, you need to have this kind of feelings, care about what you're gonna marry, right? So first, you have to know the person. So that means if you want to know Allah, love Allah too, you need to know Allah. How do you know Allah? From His revelation. From Quran and Hadith, who is Allah? He has Al-Asma'ul Husna, 99, right? And even more. That one is just one of the Hadiths from Rasulullah SAW, 99. Actually, it's much more. But 99 is something that we can easily memorize. And you say Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. You need to understand the meaning. Ar-Rahman, what's different between Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim? Al-Malik, Al-Qudus, As-Salam, Al-Hayyun, Al-Qayyum. All this, if you understand the meanings, the ta'aruf means you know Allah. You feel close to Him. And when you ask for help, you call His name. Like, for example, you need help during this pandemic, right? You want to be protected. You say to Ya Allah, Ya Hafiz, Allah, the protection, the guardians. Ya Mani, Ya Mu'min, Ya Muhaymin, Ya Wakil, Ya Wali. You ask all these names with the names of Allah that you ask protection. The same thing when you want to know somebody, you want to develop love for someone, you need to know the person first. The same thing with Rasulullah. When you want to love Rasulullah, how do you love Rasulullah if you don't know him? You don't know even his history, his life history. You never read Sirah. You never watch the movies. There are many movies actually. There's a movie Omar, right, series, and there's like long time ago. There's The Message, Arisalah. It's 1976 movies. It's old one, but it's really good. I mean, many non-Muslims become Muslim because of that movie here in America. Two of my friends in Arabic class, we took Arabic class in college, and then the teacher used the movie Arisalah for lesson, and then two of the students become Muslim because of that movie. So if you don't know the story of Rasulullah, how can you love Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam? So this is something that we have to think about. And then you have to have some interaction. You have to have communication. If you know somebody but you never talk to him or never talk to her, or you wanna develop love for Allah but you never make zikir, or you never make dua. Nighttime you never tahajjud, talk to him one by one, like in the office, usually in the corporation you have you set up one to one, like one you talk with your manager, right? That's communication. If you don't have that with Allah, how you become close? The same thing with anyone, right? So you have to have this communication, interaction, and based on this you build trust. And then you build trust, and the long communication interaction you have, you start caring, you start helping each other, right? And then you feel attachment. Attachment means if you kind of far from the one that you love, you kind of missed her, your spouse. Like if I'm working, like in other cities, my wife's, in the other city, like different cities. I kind of miss my wife, right? Because of you feel attachment. And then the same thing, if you like you don't pray, you feel, if you love Allah, you feel like something wrong with what you're doing, because you're thinking about that person. You're thinking about Allah all the times. You feel attached. The same thing with other people. And then when you develop this love attachment, then you're willing to sacrifice your time, your effort. Like the example I gave before, you love your little brother, your little sister. You have a cake, and they ask the last cake, actually the last piece, and then your little brother or little sister ask you're willing to sacrifice. I love you, sis, or I love you, bro. Here, take my cake. This is called sacrifice, because you already develop love. This love, you because of this love, you can, give whatever the one that you love ask, and many poems, many songs written about this, right? And I remember a long time ago, there's like many Malaysian songs, like I don't know if you guys understand Indonesia, there's like demi cintaku padamu, kemanapun kau ku bawa, ke ujung dunia, all this. What is that? Ku renang lautan bara, all these things because of love. Like they're willing to sacrifice because of the love. So this is okay. The love that we have, there is a what do you call it? The limits that Allah set. It's boundaries. So this is one of the some of the limits that Allah set, which is interaction between when you love somebody. Even if you love, there is rules that you have to, because Islam has a guidance. Why people might ask, like many times in my when I was in college, my roommates asked me like, why you have to all have these rules? Why you don't have any like freedoms in Islam? Like, so in the mathematics world, if you ask something like to prove some theorems, you can do proof by contradiction. Imagine if there is no rules, what happened? Just, maybe an analogy, if there is no rules of traffic lights, everybody wants to do whatever they want, right? There's gonna be, not traffic jam, maybe accidents, clash, crash between cars, like all these things, because everybody have their own minds, everybody have their own desires. So that's why Allah said, and we believe, that's why I said at the beginning, like if you are wanting to implement Islam as a way of life, you have to believe first the foundation of Islam. You have to believe first, the solid foundation, basically, like why you believe the Quran is the revelation from Allah, why you believe Muhammad is the prophet, from Allah. So this is something that you have to have first. Otherwise, you're just like giving excuses, basically. So when Allah said, "Wala taqrabu zina, innahu kana fahishatan wa sa'a sabila," Allah already told us, do not go near zina. It's truly shameful deeds and evil way. Like then you will say, why? Then Allah mentioned in many verses, like we send down the Quran so you can think about it, because Allah give us brain to think the wisdom. Like imagine like people fornication. Okay, fornication, adultery is it's different. Fornication means so premarital, like for example, you haven't married yet and then you have sex outside marriage, before marriage, so that's called fornication. Adultery is if somebody married and they commit extramarital outside the marriage, that's adultery. So fornication, adultery, it's called zina. So either one is, same category. And then inna Allaha ya'muru bil adil wal ihsan wa ita'i dzil qurba wa yanhani 'anil fahsya'i wal munkar wal baghi ya'izukum la'allakum tadhakkarun. So indeed Allah commands justice, grace, as well as the courtesy to close relatives, and he forbids indecency. Indecency, this is fahsya. And then wal munkar, munkar is weakness, something that we reject, basically. Nakara means we reject, and bag is aggression. So this indecency, fahsya, is considered as vulgar, like you curse, in here many people cursing, like F word, shit words, all these things, right? That's indecency. The Rasulullah ﷺ said that when believers never curse, never use vulgar words. I was in Indonesia one time and I heard many young people start using that word, F-U-C-K, F word and then S word, like, I don't know, maybe they're getting it from YouTube or something, but if they know the meaning, they will feel shame, because of the meaning is very bad. So interaction between genders, this is from Rasulullah SAW. Rasulullah mentioned that no man is alone with a woman, but the third one present is Satan. So this is halwat. La yakhluwanna ahadukum bi imratin fa inna shaytana thalithuhuma. So this is the limit that Allah put through Rasulullah, that you should not be alone with a woman. This is one of the guidelines that Islam set. And then Rasulullah SAW said, no man should be alone with a woman except when there is a mahram. The mahram is family member of the woman with her. So this is something that, the guideline, some of the guidelines. So what would be, considered as a haram interaction in Islam? So one thing, the first one I put here is like lustful staring at others. I had experience when I came here, there's some in my classroom, the teacher, it's a professor. The professor is very beautiful, like very pretty, and then one of the students like stare at her, like people talking to him, like, hey, he's like staring, like, I don't know if you never see any beautiful girls, but lustful staring, this is forbidden. In Islam, there's guidelines. I will talk about it later. And then immodesty, immodesty means what? You're talking vulgar, like last time I mentioned about the cursing words, or you talked, any vulgar things, you talked about sexual in nature words, and then you dressed, opening your parts of your aura, right? So this is immodesty. And then your manners. Sometimes you are like, like using your eyes, or some signs that, immodesty sign, with your hands, your fingers, your, your behaviors, your action, basically, the manners. And then the vulgar also can be, people post because right now the era of social media, it's a digital era, right? So social media comments, it's a lot of challenge right now in the social media, Instagram, people having this mental issue right now, narcissistic, people post something and nobody gives thumbs up, they feel depressed. Why nobody give my posting thumbs up? No likes. And this is narcissistic mental issue. And then chats, like some people do send textual, like sexual message on the chat, there are many cases in America, people get caught, husband and sending some message to his co-workers, or wives send message, like it is affair basically. And they got divorced because of, they found each other, the vulgar message. And then dating. So dating, maybe some people, they usually, when I mention about dating, they ask like, what's definition? It's not obvious, like which one is the definition of dating? Because some people say there's a halal dating. So it depends on your definition, right? So that's why, let's go to the definition. Like I got it from the Wikipedia here. An activity of romantic relationship where two people meet socially in the aim of each assessing the other's suitability as a prospective partner in a future intimate relationship. There is no word of marriage here, right? Because this is the Western definition. So it's basically two people when they, like each other, they wanna, okay, I wanna make sure he's the right one for me, right? So I wanna date her first. Like I wanna see. It's like one of my roommates when I was in college. He asked me like, why you're not allowed to date? When you buy a shoes, you need to try your shoes first. You don't want to buy your shoes and it's not fit you. Like his mindset is like that. So I was like, so you think women is like objects, like shoes? You can treat them like, like even though he's using analogy, but in Islam I told him like in Islam we have certain guidelines. It's not like something that we can abandon. If I said I'm a Muslim, that means I'm fall into the category of people that got these guidelines. So if I say that this guideline not for me, that means you're rejecting your own faith, right? That's inconsistent your statement. Basically, your inconsistent what do you call that attitude. So what's wrong with dating? So when you date somebody, this is a lot of Christians also here. They basically don't like. They basically reject dating. Many conservative Christians right now they try to avoid that. So they try to many conservative conservative Christians here. They try to go back to the the previous age, not like the modern time. So they try to follow the whatever the Bible said. So when you do dating somebody, there's a you try to fake yours, like many people here, like they use makeup, they even I read some news in Taiwan or China, people try to do what's called plastic surgery, try to make their face different, their body different, and do whatever, try to attract the other opposite sex, right? And then it's superficial basically and insincere. And many times when they got married, they found out that it's a fake. For example, somebody do plastic surgery and becomes like pretty beautiful, but then when they have kids, the kids is like totally different. And then they found out that, oh, your wife do plastic surgery, and then he divorced the wife. I read this news one time in I think it's from Taiwan or China, and then they people said that another excuse is just we just having good time. What do you mean by having good time? Sometimes people like try to like, I'm stressful, so dating is it's not something that you try to explore anymore. It becomes like it's releasing your desire, like relieving your stress. So this is like, even this is worse, and then when you date somebody, you have to, like in here, you have to bring the person that you date to restaurant, right? To go to movie shows, you have to pay or right now here, the woman also, they said, oh, it's my turn to pay. So the man usually, no, I pay, I have money, but then actually he doesn't have money. Usually they're like in the college or like, so then expensive. And then when the relationship not working out, it's basically broke. He doesn't have any more money, and it's like he's borrowing from his friends. This is what happened in college. I see this many times. So and then they said that, oh, I need to learn her personality. Like if you want to learn his personality, you don't have to be like with her alone. Like you can have with the meet the family or ask somebody close to her, right? So all these excuses, basically there's a answer for it. Taken advantage of, like women usually, men, the people that wants to take advantage of women, they'd say that, oh, I'm interested in getting more, so we ask her for date, but then actually that's the evil plan for to take advantage of her. So you never know. So that's why you have to be, the guidelines that Allah set is for our own benefits. And then you hurt your many times people has the hurt feelings. Even you hurt your own feelings, or they the guy hurt your feelings, or the vice versa, right? Sometimes you try to say something and it's interpreted different way, and then it's like it start getting all this conflict. And then the most important thing is, this is what Rasulullah said, opening the door to major sin in Islam, because it's slippery slope. Like, oh, I just we just like in the library we study, but it's in the corner of the library, like alone. We just study Islam, like we're a Muslim too. This is slippery slope. You never know, like it's like start with something, but then it's going down. So that's why Rasulullah already told us, he warned us about that. And then people might say, like, why is the benefits of these rules? Let's go, if there is no rule, what happened? we have a lot of, premarital sex, right? Like people during these middle school, even high school, even middle school, high school. In one of the school here, there is like I thought there was like a kindergarten, right? And a high school, there is like I saw there's a playground and little kids, babies. So I thought it's a kindergarten, but actually that school, that's what I thought is kindergarten is something that the babies or the kids of the high school students. So they have teenage pregnancy, teenage babies, babies that, the mother is still teenager. So this is, they put it there while the mother still studying in the high school. This is here in my town. And then there's extramarital sex. This is for people who got married and then they could not find satisfaction with their wife. They try to find other outside the marriage. And then it's a lot of divorce. After they get divorced, the broken homes. The kids will not find any peace. Mostly they're going to hate both either one of the parents or both the parents. And then many domestic violence, many domestic murders. This is jealousy. I just want to tell a story. In the college, usually they ask, like my friends say, Ridha, why I have to get married? I can sleep around. This one of my friends is very handsome and he's like basically have a lot of girlfriends. So he said like, I don't rape them. It's just consenting adults. Everybody happy. I just like to sleep around and then, there's nothing wrong with that. So I said, yeah, when you gonna settle down? Later I'm gonna get married. I will love my wife. But the fact is you play with the feelings. You play with the psychology of human beings. When everybody sleep around, like, when you are in the teenagers or college, it becomes habits. You settle down. How are you so sure that habits will not come back? This is what happened. This is the reality. When they got married, many people, they become like suspicious of their spouse, their husband or wife. It's like, oh, my husband not coming home from work yet, or he's probably seeing his ex. And then all this because of this, habits that hard to, it happens. And it's start jealousy, depressed. When you start jealousy accumulation, you start depressed, anxiety and all these things. And then if you find out, domestic murders usually happen. They're killing each other because you're playing with the fire. You're playing with the feelings of human beings. And then the impact of that, many children born, without knowing their parents. Ustad Abdullah just mentioned that earlier. So there's no nasab. Many, they don't have any, they don't know the family tree. Even there's a news that somebody has fathered some 100 kids that he don't know about because he's sleeping around. Like he has so many sex partners. So you have 100 kids that he didn't know. What about if they want to get married and suddenly they married their own brothers or siblings, right? This is the importance of why Allah put us the limit. Allah does not forbid us to, have fun, have sex, but it's in marriage. And it's more, secure and more peaceful. And then the influence in the society. Okay. Izhar, so let me go back. So here's the influence of society. I'll send these slides. Actually, I'll send to the organizer. So maybe the organizer can share with you guys because of the limitation of time. This is important one. So how to control the desire. Sometimes people living in this age, right? Wherever you go, you see something that trigger your desire or your urge to do something haram. So first, avoid or remove the triggers, right? So what is the triggers? Loneliness. You are lonely because you don't have many friends. So this one, you need to be able to put yourself in the company of good friends, righteous people. Going to the masjid, active in masjid activities, Muslim Student Association. If you boredom, like I am bored, develop plans, accomplish something daily, weekly. For example, you create something that you like. You can do, you know, many things, write books or something, or I want to develop some apps this month, you know, I want to release something. If you have stress, then, you know, you have so many things on at the school, you can develop some halal entertainment. I mean, not Islam is not like against entertainment. No, there are many entertainments that halal. You can go, you know, like to the fun park, you know, like something that not haram. And if you like have this anger that you need to control, then you have to learn how to do anger management and stay busy. You can do all these zikir, dua, and read. I like to read. I have a lot of books that I collect. I like to read since I was middle school. So I you know, I like to study. I read a lot of philosophy, religion. My major computer. I like computer science books as well, but I like to read philosophy and religion. So I read the tafsir, the Quran, the hadith, the sirah. You know, so you fill your time with activities that beneficial, and then you work with something that you like, on something that you like, learn something new, maintain health lifestyle, you know, healthy lifestyle, and then involve in the group activities, like help the homeless, play sports with your friends. And then the important thing here is haya, modesty. Haya means, you know, this is the important things of believers. The modest, so you lower your gaze, and then you talk, avoiding vulgar words, you know, you dress modestly, and you know, having good manners in everyday life. And then the Rasulullah SAW teach us how to, you know, like to curb your desire is by fasting. When you fast, not only you control your desire, but also you get barakah, you know, blessings, and that's your chance of success that Allah gives you in this world and the hereafter, inshallah. Brother Izhar, is that the time yet?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll just stop here. Maybe during the question answer, we can you know, show some of the slides, inshallah.
Yeah, Parido, thank you so much for the presentation. I'm actually really sad that we didn't get to go over it. Yeah, it's quite common for that to happen during these webinars because there's just so much good information that has to be shared. But we are going to be sharing the presentation with you all so that you can have a look for yourself, because I do think that the information on those slides is really beneficial for you. But we are now going to have a Q&A until 4:55, and then will be our next sharing session. So like civilized human beings, I would like to ask you all to put questions into the chat, because I'm sure you have many. We didn't get to go over everything in the PowerPoint. So if you have any burning questions you'd like to ask Farido, then please go ahead, and I'll read the most interesting ones out. You know what, Parido, to start off, I would like to ask a question myself. It's going to be a pretty short question, but let's say you have a friend that's going through a haram relationship. Like in just a couple of sentences, like what advice can you give to him? Like, how do you talk to him in a way that's not rude or like intrusive?
Yeah, so usually, I mean, depends on the background of that person. If, for example, in America, many of people born and raised here, they don't like to be patronized. Patronized means you're like giving you advice, like showing things that they made mistake or something, you know, like they don't really like it. So my approach usually for that kind of background, people with that background, you carefully like you know, show that your manners basically. Oh, in Islam you usually this, you know, instead of pointing you do it wrong, that's sinful, man, like you're just telling him, you know, like, and it's gonna like you know, like coming back with the rejection basically right away. But if you so you you have some approach, like either you invite him to, you know, some events instead of you're the one who give, unless if he listen to you. If he listen to you, like you are his mentor, like he's probably like younger or he trusts you, you just talk nicely, like, you know, I believe you, you know, you are Muslims, you know, this is not something that, you know, it's something that Allah forbid us to do, you know. And if he's trusting you, if you are close friend, he will trust you. But if you are like not very close, you start giving some you know, advice, you're like, who are you? You're telling me to do this, and you know, like something that it will create a conflict basically. So you have to be wise to see the person, like with the background. If the person background, he's always listen, and if he's like very, you know, what do you call that, adamant, or you know, like very hard to receive advice, then you use another approach. So it's you have to use wisdom when you give da'wah here.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much for answering, Farido. I'd like to pick one more question from the chat. So this is a question from Hilma. So their question is, how can a Muslim woman deal with the opposite gender in leadership roles? So I'm assuming what that question means is, obviously in our faith, men and women, we have different roles in society. So how can we come to terms with that? Like, how can we be content with our purpose in life?
Yeah, as far as I know about the leadership, there's a hadith that people usually use, you know, like Rasulullah mentioned about if a people elect a woman to be their leader, you know, just wait for their you know, destruction, something like that, right? So people use this hadith to say, see, women should not be leader, you know, even for the IMSA president, for example, or you know, something like, you know, leaders in the HR manager, or any kind of manager, directors, or so women get, you know, like pressed because of, because the hadith said that this, you should not be leader. But in fact, in that if you look at the history of Islam, right, even Aisha, even though it's the time is a conflict between Ali and Muawiyah radhiyallahu anhum, you know, they're basically Aisha was leading of the battle of Camel, right? She was there, and then many of the Sahabiya also lead some efforts during the battles with Rasulullah, you know, like leading the what do you call that, the like the P3K, the emergency aid for like the nursing, right? And she, you know, some of the Sahabiyat lead for that, and then some. I mean, even the story of the many historians write this, you know, the leaders of the Muslims by the Muslim women. So I think the hadith should look at into the context, because when Rasulullah said this, I think it's related to the news that coming from the, I think, south of Arabia. That time one of the queens over there basically not, you know, like leading correctly, or you know, like something like bring destruction to their people. So Rasulullah mentioned this. Wallahu alam, but in my opinion, it's like women should be given the same rights if they are like capable. Like, how do you choose a man to be a leader while he doesn't have any knowledge, and the woman has more knowledge on that field, right? I mean, like, you wanna ask a man that doesn't know how to fly a plane, and the woman that no, you give the woman who can play the plane, the woman. Okay,
yeah, I agree.
So it's a wisdom. You have to use wisdom, not just, you know, blindly, you know, use some dalil or something to justify your, you know, twisted interpretation. That's my opinion. I think we should look at the context and the wisdom.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. So hopefully that's answered your question. However, unfortunately, it is 4:55, meaning it's time for the next sharing session. I understand that we won't be able to get through all of your questions. I'm sure there are many. However, this webinar is tied for time, like most of the other ones we've done. However, we will have another Q&A session after Haya. And maybe if your question is still not answered, you might find some information on the slides that will be able to help you. So yeah, without further ado, it's time to move on to our next sharing session. And this will be with our second speaker, which is Haya. So I'd like to give you a brief introduction of who she is and what she'll be doing for us today. So Haya is a nursing student at the University of Calgary. And like I mentioned before, she is also Hafizah Qur'an. So she has memorized the entire holy book of our deen, mashallah, which I think is just absolutely incredible. So Haya, are you there? Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hello everyone, yeah. Izhar. I hope everyone is doing well and staying safe.
Yeah, it's such an honor for us to have you here. So can you tell us what activities you're involved in nowadays? Because we know that you're a nursing student. So what do you do like on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, so for sure. So mostly I try to focus on studies because this is my third year of study, and I also mostly go to hospitals to have the training session. But of course, it is also important to balance our time, remembering Allah, and turn our free time into rewards. So in my spare time, I'm still trying my best to recite and muraja'ah al-Quran and follow the Sunnah of Rasulullah, even as simple as reciting istighfar on my way home.
Yeah, I think that's something that we should all be doing on a day-to-day basis. So just so everyone in the webinar knows, the format of the sharing session will be more just like a talk show kind of. So I'm just going to be asking questions, and inshallah Haya will answer all of them. So just to start off, according to your bio, I found that you are Hifzul Qur'an. So can you briefly tell us about your journey and memorizing it?
Yeah, for sure. So alhamdulillah, Allah has given me the opportunity to memorize Al-Quran in a very, very supportive environment in my boarding school, where I memorize Al-Quran for a page a day, 1 page a day. And alhamdulillah, I attempted to finish memorizing Al-Quran for about 6 years. Because I believe that memorizing Al-Quran, reciting Al-Quran has a direct and prolonged effect on our heart. So with the love of the Quran and our love for Allah too increases, and so does our love for His Prophet and His deen. And I believe that if we memorize the Quran, memorizing the Quran will no longer be a chore to us or done with the feeling that we are obliged to do it. Rather, we will do it out of immense love for the Quran. And of course, one of my motivation is that I wanted my parents to be clothed in 2 garments and a crown of light to wear on the day of judgment, whose light is as bright as the sun. So yeah, that's pretty much my motivation for embarking on the journey of memorizing the Quran.
MashaAllah, tabarakallah. Inshallah, all of us in this webinar will be able to memorize as much Quran as we can. And it's interesting that you say that you're memorizing the Quran out of love. So my next question would be, what is your perception on this word that's very vague, love?
Okay. So in my opinion, love is the feeling of constant affection towards someone or some things. And love is something pure that has a positive impact on ourselves. Yeah. So just to rephrase what I said, I believe that real love should have encouraged someone to act on positive things when an individual is in love with someone or something. And if the love influences a person to act on evil or bad actions or attitude, then to me, I doubt that it is the real love. So, for example, loving Allah. It means that we love Him so much that we want to achieve an aim that would please Him and avoid acts that would disappoint Allah. And this will prevent us from doing sins. And the same applies to our parents. So if we love them, then our love would encourage us to act on something to please them, to make them happy. And we would be worried if any of our attitudes would let them down. And so that is what I think about real love.
And do you think that love may have a positive impact on your life and your society?
Yeah, because it would encourage everyone. It would encourage someone to act on positive things instead of bad things, instead of bad actions and attitudes, and that would give us positive impacts on our lives, and that would prevent us from doing something that is forbidden.
Yeah, and I'm sure we can all agree that if you call it love, but it leads you to do something that makes you transgress, then it's not real love. So back to our topic. Regarding relationships in Islam, I'm sure you know that nowadays it's very common and very widespread for teenagers to want to involve themselves in relationships. You know, it's one of just the phases in life that we go through. So I'm curious, Kahaya, what are your general opinions on that?
Yeah, so I absolutely agree with Izhar. That is the status quo right now. That is the current situation right now. And I also have friends who are dating with their classmates who meet up online or call each other. But Alhamdulillah, until now, Allah has guided me to prevent that. So I myself have never dated anyone at all. And inshallah, I will not until the halal time has come. And what I see is that sometimes Muslims, especially teenagers, may lack the knowledge to understand that in Islam, dating is not an obligation. Dating is not a preference before marriage. So we as Muslims must stand on our principle, because I believe that there will be a perfect time. There will be a specific time for everyone to date after marriage, when you're adult, when you're wise enough, and when you're independent financially and mentally ready to start a new family. And so instead of dating, which I believe may waste time, may waste energy, may impact our health psychologically, it would be better for us to focus on achieving our goals and upgrade ourselves to be a better Muslim, because we as future generation, we have a lot of obligation to focus on, like studying at school, deepen our knowledge about Quran and Islam, and helping our parents at home, and as I mentioned, developing ourselves to have a better personality. And inshallah, our partner, our soulmate, would come at a time which is already decided by Allah. And our task is only to make ourselves to be a mu'min or a mu'minah, to get the best mu'min or mu'minah as our partner, inshallah.
Yeah, inshallah. I think we should all trust in Allah's plan, as He's already written out our destiny for our spouse. And in this day and age, I think as youth, it's more important for us to strengthen our iman and just get as close to Allah as possible. So my next question would be, so what advice, just simply, do you have for people who may be involved in these kinds of haram relationships? Yeah, what are some words that you can give to them?
So I believe that we should protect ourselves from, bad influences or negative influences in this era, because there are lots of platforms in which people would get deep into this forbidden relationship from social media and internet. So by reading and learning about Islam and about Quran, knowing what is obliged and what is forbidden by him is key to prevent and protect ourselves from those influences. And so I believe having a positive and Islamic environment will benefit us a lot. And so I would really encourage everyone here to find a wise Islamic community, steady community, so that we would be reminded to strive to do good in all of our moments of our day, inshallah. And you will not feel lonely.
Yeah, inshallah. Allahumma barik. Thank you so much, Kahaya, for sharing your words with us. They were very inspiring, and inshallah, it'll motivate all of us in this call to better ourselves and strengthen our iman. So yeah, thank you so much. And I'm sure that as you guys have listened, you may have some questions that you would like to ask us. So once again, it's going to be a Q&A session. And this time we'll have a bit more time for you, because I'll have like 5 more minutes to get through all of the questions that you may have. So once again, I'd like you all to put them into the chat below. And one more thing that I just like to point out, it's kind of a shame that sometimes this mindset is looked down upon, you know, like it's looked down upon by other people, the fact that you don't want to get into a relationship, because it's just not the norm nowadays. However, I think it's really, really important that no matter who your friends are, that you shouldn't succumb to peer pressure, that you should always remain faithful, and you should always keep yourself in the straight path so that in the future you don't try and transgress. So yeah. Okay, so I have a question from Nia here. So this question can be answered by either Parido or Kahaya. So Ka Izhar, what about chatting between boys and girls? Is it allowed? Or, for example, to follow K-pop bands or girl groups for Muslims. So what is our general standpoint on that, do you think?
Haya first, maybe, or me? Okay, so is it about chatting? Yeah, there's so in my understanding, correct me, Ustaz Abdullah, if I'm wrong. In the fiqh al muamalat, everything's halal except if there is a dalil that forbid it. Like we have the limitation that Rasulullah said, there's no khalwat, like you cannot be alone, right? That's a limit that Rasulullah put. But if there's no, I mean, if you are like chatting, like how do you like chat? What does it mean? Like, is it like chat, like personally, like chat with somebody? What, like for example, I was involved in the masjid and the sister organized book club, right? And she asked me we can chat, like, Ridha, can you ask David and Peter, you know, to come and, you know, help out? I mean, that's chat, right? Even it's only both of us, but it's about something that we try to, you know, like da'wah, or even for, you know, like organize some youth events. It's okay. But if you are intentionally try to, okay, I want to send some, you know, lustful message or something, you know, like try to, you know, attract her, you know, like, so to show off that I am a good guy or something like that, that's intention, right? So when you have that intention, or you are like doing that between personal, and then but you are having this outside the guidelines, you send something like what do you call that, flirting, like flirt, you know, you start something that it start going to the down to the haram territory. But if you are like chatting, even if you go with the MSA, there are many, you are in the group, you chat with somebody because of, you know, you wanna, hey, how are you, you know, I haven't seen you for a while, but everybody's there, you know, like it's chat too. I mean, You cannot just like, this is haram, this is haram. It's like one sister, she got depressed. She's a non-Muslim who referred to Islam. And when she became Muslims, so many Muslims say, that's haram, sister, that's haram, 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 haram. And she got depressed. She's about to leave Islam. Islam not for me. You know, like we have to have a wisdom. Like we cannot just, you know, like there's a couple of my friends left Islam after they become Muslim. Because the rule is so, you know, make them so depressed, you know, make them depressed basically. Like this haram, this haram, this haram, Islam is not for me. And this already two of my friends left because of some brothers, you know, like we call it like haram police. Haram police, like anyway. So yeah, that's my you know, simple answer. Probably you have to know the background, what the context is. If you know this, you start feeling like, oh, this is my chance to, you know, show that I'm the person for her, or something like that. Then, you know, you have to be cautious of that.
Yeah, that's very true. And I'd like to also add the point that we can't now assume that interactions between males and females should not be done at all, because we have to remember that at the time of the prophets, interactions between opposite genders happened all the time. Like they worked together, they were involved in businesses, but there's a line that shouldn't be crossed. So we should all be aware of where that line is. If it starts to bring up any lustful thoughts, if your intentions change, then you should stay away from that, definitely. Okay, so I'm gonna go through the other questions. I have a question from Zaki, which is, how should Muslims date/court in Islam? So I think what this means is, how can we start to approach marriage? If I'm wrong, please correct me. But yeah, I think that's how the question is, what the question is asking.
I'll give to Haya maybe this time.
Carido can answer. It's okay. I believe Carido has deeper knowledge about this. And,
yeah, so the marriage basically, actually it's in my slides. Do you want me to share quickly?
We have
or maybe just I just give some. So first of all, you have to know the purpose of, so basically understand what marriage is, because if you don't have understanding about the marriage, what is the vision, many people, even good Muslims, they're not ready, and then they get divorced easily. Like after a couple of months, they said, this is not for me, because they're not ready. Married is not because of, oh, you love her, you know, it's a love at first sight, and she's the best for me, she's the one for me, you know. But then you're not ready, because when you got married, you have to be ready with, you know, there's a challenge in the marriage. People have different opinions, like husband and wife, they always, you know, argue, you know, because that's sunnatullah, that two people will not have all the times, you know, same opinions, right? So you have to prepare yourself. How do you handle conflict management? How do you handle anger management, right? First, you have to understand what is the purpose of marriage. You know, Allah mentioned, right, in the Surat Ar-Rum, right? Sakinah, mawaddah, warahmah, right? Peace, tranquility, mawaddah, love, and rahmah, mercy. So if you don't have that, you know, that's, your marriage is out of the purpose, you know, like that's the first. And then the second one, Allah give us the marriage is for what becomes fruitful, blessed with multitudes, like propagate, become Khalifah fil ard, multitude people, believers, blessed, bring blessing, right? And then, you know, if you have this, I want to get married, so I have a kids, and the kids can pray for me. The three things that you continue after you die is what? Useful knowledge, right? And then I'm a sadaqah jariyah, right? And then the third one is the prayer of the descendants. If you have that niyyah, I want to get married, I want to have descendants that pray for me, so that's a good niyyah. So you have motivation that you already, then you start learning about how to manage financially. If you get married and then you always fight about financial, you know, You don't know that husband, the husband, if you get money, income, you have to share with your wife, like 50-50. But the wife if she got income, it's for her 100%. So other husbands say, no, that's not fair. Give me some 50%, because he's not prepared with the rule of marriage or the fiqh of, in Islam, you have to know this before and then you start conflict, because your husband, the husband and wife, it's having different standard. Like, they don't use the Islamic fiqh or Islamic understanding of the limits, and this is need to be prepared. So when you on a date, you don't have to like date in like alone. You can ask somebody. If you are interested, you go to their parents' house. Go to the parents' house. Like, I'm interested in knowing your daughter better, If you're a man, right? If you're a woman, you're interested in somebody, you have to know the characters of that person first. The characters, like,
Oh, sorry, Pak Ridho, you're suddenly muted.
So basically you have to know the characters of the person that you want to get married. For women, what is the woman Rasulullah said for, right? The wealth, the families, right? What else? The deen, and then what? The beauty, right? And Rasulullah mentioned that marry the one with the good religion, the good faith. You're not gonna lose. You're gonna be happy, basically.
Yeah.
Right. So this is something that before you go, like, if you are serious in marriage, you go to the parents' house, ask, I'd like to know more. And there is a rules that you can ask somebody, your sister, to know, hey, I want to see, because she's wearing hijab, is she okay? The hair is okay? You can ask your sister to see her, but you have to be serious, not like mocking her after that. No, this is, you deal with feelings, right? When you deal with feelings, you have to understand the psychology and how people feel about your attitude. So anyway, so that's the guideline, the basic things that I want to explain a little bit.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And that does bring us to the end of our Q&A session, alhamdulillah. So it's almost Maghrib now, and we are going to be approaching the end of our webinar, alhamdulillah. I'd like to give this time to extend a thank you to everyone, to Ahmed, to Kahaya, to Parido, and also Tanta Kenya for organizing all of this, and just all of you guys for joining. I think I'm going to hand it over to Kahaya and Parido for the closing statements. But first, I'd like to give like literally 2 sentences on what I have to say about this. So the age group in this webinar is similar to mine. So I am you guys' age. And yes, I have been exposed to the same thing that has been mentioned in this webinar over and over again. I'm not some old man trying to tell you guys what to do. And we are not trying to tell you what to do either. We have to remember, لا إكراه في الدين. There's no obligation, there's no compulsion in religion. We cannot force you to do anything because that's not the Islamic way. What we're trying to give you guys is advice. We want to convince you guys that there is a right path and there are certain guidelines that you should follow. Because we have to understand that if something is made haram, Allah is trying to protect us from something, right? So I have seen my friends get into relationships and 99% of the time, they don't end well. This is what Allah is trying to protect us from. You have to keep that in mind. When you're not dating for marriage, you're dating for heartbreak, right? Think about that. So I think as youth, it's better for us to just stay away from it. As far as we're concerned, and as far as the committee is concerned, you are free to do whatever you want, but you have to keep in mind everything that we've said in this webinar. So yeah, I've just received a message that we won't be having closing statements, unfortunately, because we are so tight for time and it's almost Maghrib. So I just want to say, Parido and Kahaya, once again, Jazakallah khairan. Thank you so much for taking the time to be in this webinar. What you said was very beneficial for us all. And like I said, it was so important for this to be shared with the youth. And yeah, if you have anything to say, then please go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say that to all my brothers and sisters here, be mindful of Allah. Like Rasulullah always mentioned this. Rasulullah mentioned this to Ibn Abbas, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, young man, be mindful of Allah. He will take care of you. If you need something, ask Allah. If you need help, seek from Allah. Ask Allah to protect you. Give you strength and make it easy. All your activities, to get you happiness in this life. And I mean, if you believe this dua is the power of our Allah, give us this, is the tools to ask Him. Just make dua, a lot of dhikr, and also spend effort. Inna Allah la yughayyiru ma biqaumin hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim. So you have to spend effort, not just dua, but also effort. So, but stay close to Allah. So be mindful and make dhikr. Ask Allah, do tahajjud. Inshallah, Allah make it easy. Trust me, I have seen many things, my experience. If you do this, inshallah, Allah will give you easiness in this life, inshallah.
Haya, anything to say before we end?
Yeah. So it is a reminder for myself and everyone here that the love of Allah does not come until you love yourself enough to earn the pleasure of your Lord instead of the people. And so we ask Allah to make amongst those who love and are loved for His sake and shaded by His glory in the day of judgment.
Ameen. So once again, everyone, thank you so much for joining this webinar. And I really hope that you're going to leave this call learning something new. Subhanallah wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Everyone, you're free to leave the webinar. Thank you so much.
Jazakumullah khair, Izhar.
Yeah, Jazakumullah khair. Thank you so much.
Abdullah, Assalamualaikum.